Hi, Julie Jones from SSB Performance, Smarter, Stronger, Better Mindset Training, here with this week's Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week, brought to you by Game Day Sportswear. This week we're talking about, do you see what I see? This weekend we were getting ready to go to a party and we're going to take a football. Well, I went and picked it up and it needed air. So my first thought was, okay, got to put some air in it. Where is the needle? Am I the only one that has problems keeping track of that little needle? Well, I went to the drawer in my tool box in my garage and it wasn't in the first drawer, so I started to think about and imagine where the last time I saw it. Where was it? Was it over on the shelf in the little Adidas box that I had in it with a little hand pump? Was it on the tire pump for the bike, or was it on the air compressor? Well, I found it in the drawer next to it. It was right where, almost where I thought it was. But my point is that immediately I started to go to images. I didn't walk around the garage to all those places. I thought about and I brought up images of where that darn little tiny needle to fill up the ball could be. Then I started to think, what other images am I bringing up in my mind? I see images a lot in my mind. In fact, when I was in college, I remember bringing up a picture in my mind of my notes to think about what I wrote in the margin and say, okay, what did I say over there? And just hope that the image was right so I got the answer right on the test. I don't know if that's how everybody thinks, but that's how I think. I think in images a ton. And it made me really, really think about how I was going to use that tool for the betterment of my performance, for the betterment of the performance of the athletes with whom I work, in general, for the betterment of our lives. And then it brought me back to a story that I read about Manny Ramirez, former Major League Baseball player Manny Ramirez. He used to be in Cleveland, and I will tell you that I did not think that he was the most meticulous thinker. He had a laissez-faire attitude of running to first base. In fact, he sort of trotted down there, drove me nuts. He was a liability in the outfield, but man, could he hit. And later I learned that the reason that he was such a good hitter, besides the fact that he was extremely talented and he put a lot of work in, but he was meticulous in his pre-game prep for hitting. In fact, he would sit and watch videos of himself hitting bomb after shot after shot after shot after shot, and just watch himself hit before he went out or went down to the tunnel to take his work off the tee, or before he went out to the field to take his pregame BP. He just saw himself be awesome time after time after time. In fact, one of his former teammates asked to go watch him at some point, and he said, why don't you ever watch yourself strike out so you can fix it and then avoid that in this next game? And he said to his teammate, he said, why would I ever want to watch myself screw up? Why would I want to watch the bad stuff? He said, you can sit and watch yourself strike out 5 times before you go play. I'm going to watch myself do what I want to recreate. Those aren't his exact words, but that was his approach. He was going to watch himself be awesome. Shot, because that is what he wanted to go do. He did not want to go out and think about striking out. He was thinking about, what can I do to be my best? It really got me thinking about all the images that I must see. What do I see when I'm looking at myself? What do I see in my mind that helps me or hurts me in performance? What do you see in your mind? I bet you see a ton of images too. I bet if you stopped and thought about all the images that you see in one day, you'd be shocked to think about, oh my gosh, I see this, all these vivid images. Think about it. Think about the things that you can pull up in your mind. Maybe your wedding day. I can picture my mom's smile. I haven't seen it for years. I can remember Jensen's first cry, right? You can remember these things, these images. I also can remember lots of times that I screwed up. Those come flushing in all the time, and those things aren't good. But the question is, what are we going to remember? When we're standing over the shot, when we're standing in the box, when we're standing at the foul line, when we're standing in front of the goal, which memories are we going to relive? Yes, those failures, the blooper reels, they come in. But are we going to let those overtake and replay those and try to fix them right then? Or are we going to go with what we want to recreate and let the good memories come back in and have those be the images of ourselves that we see? I got to relive this last night. One of my clients, her name is Madison, she was going through her highlight reel. That was her work. She's been struggling, and she needs a dose of the tough Maddie, the good, who's the competitor. So she went through and made her top 10 ESPN plays of her career. We went through them one by one, number 1 through 10. She walked me through all of them. And man, the posture that I saw in her changed. We talked about how she has been feeling and how these images remind her of who she is and who she can be again, and how she needs to fill herself with those images so that those doubts, those frustrations, those things we can push aside and remember why we want to go do the work, why it's worth the struggle. But she gets to chooses. She gets to choose which one she is going to pull up. What is she going to use before her next lesson? What is she going to see before she steps on the mound and decides what pitch she's going to throw? What image of herself will she let go on her mental rehearsal and her mind movies that play constantly in our head? We pulled out themes. We talked about her contributions to her team. We talked about the power that she has as an athlete. We talked about why she loves to play the game. And when we're frustrated or when we're thinking about our mistakes, those are the feelings that get disconnected. And that's when we start to flounder. That's when we start to go down that never-ending cycle of, oh my gosh, I'm in a slump, or whatever our frustrated feelings are. So the question is, which memories are we going to let flood our mind? Yes, the bad ones, they pop in. But the great part is that we can introduce something new. We don't have to stick with the thought that's in our head. Our thoughts aren't facts. But we can relive the good stuff that we've done just as easily as we can relive the bad stuff. Unfortunately, our brain is very frustrating and it likes to remember the bad stuff because it's trained or it's built to notice threat, to keep us safe. But on the other hand, our brain is just as amazing that we can relive something and our brain doesn't know the difference of whether it's a real action or a real event or something that we've imagined. So we've got to use this to our advantage. Those mind movies are there. We are the directors of them. That's the cool part. So the question is, are we going to let the blooper reel play? Or are we going to choose Manny's approach and watch the highlight reel and prime our brain for what we want to repeat instead of what we want to avoid? As I always say, you never go to a restaurant and say, I don't want. You go to the restaurant and you tell them what you want. And that is our choice. We get to tell the images in our brain what we want them to look like. And if we choose the good, we will perform better. If you'd like to talk more about visualization or teamwork or anything that has to do with mental training, shoot me an email at juliej@ssbperformance.com. Until next week, manage the moments and manage the mind movies in your head. Use them to your advantage. Have a great week.